What you're about to see should trigger immediate federal investigations, but it won't, and you're about to learn why. DNC Vice Chairman David Hogg was just caught on hidden camera making an admission so damning, so corrupt, that it exposes the entire rotten core of Washington. He openly admits Nancy Pelosi is engaged in insider trading, achieving returns that beat every hedge fund on Wall Street through what he acknowledges is corrupt stock trading. Yes, you heard me correctly. But here is the truly shocking part. This gun control zealot who wants to strip away your Second Amendment rights refuses to expose Pelosi's corruption because, in his own words, it's going to be harder for us to get gun control passed. Now, he's willing to cover up financial crimes to advance his anti-gun agenda. Now, watch what happens when David Hogg thinks that no one is recording.
I would say Pelosi's actually very good at her job. I don't agree with the stock trading stuff. I mean, she gets better returns than almost every hedge fund in this city. Every year. Some of these members of Congress make trades that are like way too well timed to not have like insider knowledge. They happen to be some of the best financial analysts in human history.
Have you spoken against that?
I've talked to them, but it's also like, I know that if I pick that fight, it's going to be harder for us to get gun control passed, so I have to pick my battle. Like, the hardest part about my job is I just want to burn everything down, because it's all so corrupt. But you got to pick your battles and slowly build your momentum.
And now returning to analyze this explosive confession is Ross Givens, former VP at JP Morgan Chase and the nation's leading expert on congressional trading patterns. That's right, he's back to break down what this means for every American investor. Ross, welcome back to the show.
Hey, Gary, good to see you.
It is always exciting to have you here. There's always some juicy stuff you've got to drop on us. And then we got this undercover video from Project Veritas. It's hot off the press. So, Ross, David Hogg, he just admitted on camera that Pelosi's stock returns beat almost every hedge fund. And as a Wall Street veteran, is that even statistically possible without insider information?
Not even close. And you know, when you look at the actual returns, these are not people that beat the market by 2 or 3 or 4%. These are people making 80, 100, 140% annualized returns, numbers that even Warren Buffett has never, ever done. So no, it is not possible. And not to mention, even if it were, these aren't Wall Street pros. They're politicians. They're placing, a couple of trades from their cell phone. They're absolutely using insider information.
So let's talk some specifics now, because Quiver Quant shows that Congress achieved 405% returns while the market made 140%. Walk us through how these politicians are crushing professional investors and what exactly is Quiver Quant.
Yeah, so I posted this on X. I don't know if you've got that to throw up there to show the image, but Quiver Quant is a company that tracks insider trading. So, we've been doing this since 2017 for our members. We showed them how to track these trades, how to find the stocks that these insiders are buying, and follow along. In fact, we have a training event coming up this coming, Wednesday or Thursday? At 3 o'clock Eastern. I think there's a link below to register for that. But what they've done, they built this portfolio called the Congress Buy Strategy. And all it does, when a politician, a member of Congress, buys a stock, it buys it as well. When they sell, it sells it. So it's just tracking their trades, if that was your portfolio. And the outperformance is staggering. Over the last 5 years, the thing's up 405% compared to 140 for the market. So almost triple the market's returns just piggybacking these trades. And this is all information that's free for us to access. And this is all of congressmen. If you just follow Pelosi, if you just followed some of the best, you do even better than this. So it is, the idea of these random 430 people, most of which have no financial background, that their stock trades return triple what the market does year over year. It's
every time you come here, Ross, you bring me something that just makes my jaw drop. And I'm looking at this chart, and it's just like, look at Congress and look at the S&P 500.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's not one or two people, right? I love this Hogg clip, because we've been saying this for years. Everyone knows Pelosi uses inside information. You don't get a $200 million net worth on a $200,000 salary without cheating. And so there's the top brass at the DNC admitting it.
So So explain what I'm seeing here, because you can see, you've got, looks like it goes back to maybe 2020, where the graph wasn't, the apex is connecting, and then it just boom, it just blows up. What's going on there?
Well, it's just consistent outperformance. If you looked at this at log scale, it'd be a little more steady. But this is just a chart to show over the last 5 years. And so if you put $1,000 in the market, you'd have done very well. Your 1,000 would be worth 2,400. You give $1,000 to members of Congress, you got $5,000. So that's really the difference. And they just consistently pick stocks before they make big moves because of the information they have access to. They know when a company's going to get a big government contract. They know when a piece of legislation that's going to help or hurt certain industries is going to pass or not pass. And they can use that information to buy or sell the right stocks at the right time and make, frankly, tens of millions of dollars, Gary.
Well, he said, literally, Hogg said, members of Congress make trades quote, way too well-timed to not have insider knowledge.
Yeah.
Can you give us some of the most egregious examples that you've tracked?
Well, I could give you a dozen just from Pelosi. But again, it's not just her. So, you take someone like Earl Blumenauer from the House of Representatives. He was buying defense company stocks the very day Russia invaded Ukraine. So he finds out about this knowledge and then goes and profits from it. You had somebody like Catherine Clark, a Democratic member of the House. She was buying HoloLogic stock back in 2020 when that stock chart started. Now, you and I have never heard of HoloLogic. It's a little tiny off-the-radar stock. She just so happened to buy it 1 week before that company gets a $120 million COVID contract from the federal government. And this woman is literally on the committee that awarded that funding, Gary. So you're in a meeting, okay, we're gonna allocate $120 million to this. We're gonna give it to this company. Okay, before we tell anybody, let me go buy the stock, and it skyrockets. You got Pat Fallon. This guy's buying Microsoft right before the Pentagon gives them a $10 billion cloud computing contract. Stock goes way up. The Pentagon ended up canceling the contract, but he sells before that becomes public. So it's this kind of stuff. I mean, Pelosi, she went all in on Tesla leverage with call options right before Biden mandated with his pen that the whole government fleet was going to go electric. Well, at the time, that's the biggest electric vehicle manufacturer. Stock shoots up on the news. She made millions off this. So it's like they're not even trying to hide it. And I know Pelosi feels she's invincible, and frankly, she is. She's been doing this for 20 years. Nobody's doing anything about it. But the only silver lining to this, and what I like to share with people, is why we're doing that training event, you can actually see this stuff. I understand it pisses you off. I understand it's unethical. They shouldn't be enriching themselves. But at the very minimum, we can see when they're buying these stocks. We can buy the same ones. We can follow along. Congress is doing well. We've just been following insider trades since 2017. Gary, we're up over 1,900% in that time by finding the best ones. And not just politicians, but corporate insiders and the like as well. So it's both something that angers you and also something that, if you will just use it,
I really get mixed feelings about the whole thing, because I'm furious. These people clearly have insider knowledge, and David Hogg is out there on some blind date with the Project Veritas guy, probably picked up off a grinder or something.
Yeah,
and he's spilling the beans. He thought the cameras weren't rolling. This is the language that's used in Washington D.C. Right out in the open, right? When they're all hanging out together, cameras are off. But when they're, cameras are on, it's all like, we're not doing anything wrong, right?
Yeah, no, it's an open secret for sure on Capitol Hill. Everyone knows this goes on. Is it all 435 of them? Maybe not. It's several hundred. It's more are than aren't. And that's really the big thing with everything being digital. Back in the 80s, I'm sure they got bags of cash in the trunk of their car, right? But today you can't. It's hard if you want to pay off a politician. You can't just give them $5 million. It's going to be probably tracked. However, you can say you might want to buy this stock around before this date. You might want to buy this option to really double or triple or quadruple your money. And that's kind of how favors are passed and how I think bribes are passed in a lot of ways, but it's like I said.
At least you are applying that that knowledge that they have, and you're giving it to the regular people. You're giving it to those peons, who have to like chase Nancy Pelosi for an answer to a question, right?
Yeah.
So at least you're giving us the information, empowering us with the links in the description. It's tell me about it real quick.
Yeah, so it's only about an hour long. We do a training event. We do this every couple of months. We just happen to have one coming up next week. But yeah, it's online. It's free. Anybody can attend, and we do these to show people how we're making such big returns in the market, how we're beating the market, and show you how to do the same thing. So, it's like, listen, am I going to get Congress to ban stock trading? No. Who am I? I'm a stock trader from Alabama, right? But what I can do is show 20,000 people how to follow along. If Pelosi is going to cheat the system and make $4 million on Nvidia before she passes the CHIPS Act, fine. At least let me show you how to do it so you can make a few grand for yourself. And so this stuff is all public information. They don't make it easy to find, but it is free. It's online. You can see what stocks they're buying, when they're buying them, how much, and that's both politicians as well as corporate guys.
Now, some of the folks that work with you, through this program, like, what's their reaction? Like when they get involved, they plug in and they start, actually doing the trades themselves. Yeah. Like, do you get phone calls from people and they're just like, dude?
Oh, we do. Look, I had a presentation the other day, and a guy said, Ross, that stock you sent last month, we're up 68% on it. It's called Domo, D-O-M-O. And it's usually off the radar stocks. And it's really a different way of investing, because we're used to going, okay, we should buy the big name. We should buy Apple and Google and Nvidia. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, this little COVID testing company quadrupled. Meanwhile, the stock Pelosi bought back in February doubled in 1 month, right? We talked about that last time.
Yeah, so, okay, let's talk about this Domo stock, because I think it's interesting, because it's a lesser known stock, like you just said. So how did you find that one?
So we track two levels of insiders. One is, of course, these political insiders, right? The members of Congress and the House of Representatives. They no doubt cheat and use this information. But there's also corporate insiders, right? So imagine the information the CEO, the chief financial officer, the board members of these companies know about their own company. And so in the case of Domo, I was trying to pull it up here and see what exactly we saw. But Domo it's this little like life insurance, health insurance company. It's totally off the grid. But in April, but on the 24th and 20th, so in 2 days, 4 members of the board of directors bought this stock. Now, generally a board has like 8 members. Half these guys put 6 figures apiece into their own company stock in a 48-hour period. Is the biggest cluster of buying we've seen in years. Wow. In the stock out of nowhere, we bought it was 80% in 6-7 weeks. So it's like,
well, how did you find out? How did you find out that these 4 guys? Okay, we're talking about needle in a haystack. How did you find this out?
Well, it's public information. So there's a database where you can see all the trades. There's one you can see all the political trades, and there's another called the Edgar database, maintained by the Securities and Exchange Commission, where these corporate insiders, when they buy their stock, listen, if you're the CEO of the company, if you're a member of the board, if you're going to buy or sell your company stock, you have to report that publicly. You get 2 days to do it. So most of them do it the same day. So when they buy on Tuesday, on Wednesday, they put a filing and say, hey, I bought 10,000, 100,000 shares of our stock.
So they've got a 48-hour window to report.
That's right. And most do it sooner. And so what we've got is just a big database. We can scan it. We can say, all right, show me all the stocks where 2, 3, 4 different insiders have bought in the last few weeks.
Okay, so basically, I don't mean to interrupt you, but so basically, you're harvesting all this information.
Yeah.
And then you are making it easily trackable for your people to have access to. And I guess you send out an email or you say, okay, guys, check this out. We just got this. This just came in across our desk. And like, what do you say? Like, okay, guys, everyone buy this or everyone sell this? Exactly. Like, how does that work?
So, well, we've got 2 things. So what we do in the training event, we show people how to find this stuff for yourself. It's free. Anyone can do it. It's not going to cost you a dime. The event's free. Click below. We'll send you the whole thing. We also run a service in addition to that. People go, Ross, this is great. I don't want to do all that work. Like, all right, well, I got 3 full-time analysts. I got a team over here. We'll do it for you. So generally 3, 4, 5 of these pop up every month that are just absolute no-brainers, right? We bought one last year, a little pharmaceutical stock. It's in the middle of drug trials. These trials are going to make or break the company. No one knows how they're going. It's a 40-cent, everybody's pins and needles. And then 11 guys buy it. I mean, the CEO, the president, the CFO, the VP, the The chief medical officer, the guy running the drug trials, puts half his salary in the stock in 3 days, right? So
Right.
it's just so blatantly obvious.
He
that the
knows
news
it's
is
going
gonna
to
be good.
pass. So he's like, I'm all in. He's putting all the
Exactly.
chips in and he's going, let it ride. Because he
Exactly.
knows. He's got the inside information.
That's it. And there's usually we'll see a few of those every month where it's just so obvious. Now they're not all going to go 80, 100, 300% like these. That stock went up 300% in 4 months, by the way. But typically, the odds that all the people in a company or these politicians who know the people running the company, the odds they're all going to out of nowhere put hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into the stock before something bad comes out are just almost zero. Right? So it kind of tends to be this game of like heads I win, tails I don't lose. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's the stock
Right.
market, but if some of your stocks do okay, some go nowhere, and these three quadruple, you're having a hell of a year. You know
when
what
they
I mean?
say these results aren't typical for whatever, like
Well, and look, there is no
yeah.
guarantees, but we've been doing it
Yeah.
since 2017. We've never had a losing year. We made money in the bear market. We made 300% in 2020. Like, I know this works. And so we just try to say, look, we've been doing it for 8 years. I'm not saying we're perfect, but we're pretty damn good. We'll show you how to do it. I mean, listen, if I had the choice, I'd go ban Congress and put a level, but I can't do that. So I'm going to level the playing field, show people how to do this for themselves. We've got a great track record of doing it. We have a lot of people whose eyes have been opened. And, I think it's the one loophole available.
So do you focus more on the corporate side or the congressional side? Because you said that in Congress they have their window is not 48 hours. What'd you say? It's like 90 days, is it?
Yeah, they have 30
days.
days. Some will report sooner. That's one of the reasons we focus a lot on corporate insiders. We know almost immediately. But sometimes politicians report quickly, and if they bought last week and it hadn't gone anywhere, it's still the ideal situation is you've got both. Right? You've got the top brass of the company who know the earnings, who know the drug trials, who know when the AI models, all that market moving stuff. When they're buying, that's good. If their political buddies are buying as well, that's better. Right?
Okay, so
et cetera.
I want to go back to some of the folks that are using your method. I want to hear the best phone call you've ever received. I want to hear the best one. That the guy calls you up and he's just like, boom, jackpot. Tell me, you don't obviously tell me his name or whatever, the stock.
Well, I get a lot of emails from our people. We've got full-time support staff, and they generally deal with them. I had one person tell me they doubled their retirement account in 5 months. I had one lady who was putting, I think, $100,000 per stock for a year or so, and I don't know the exact number. I want to say she made $700,000-800,000.
Holy cow!
Following this stuff. So obviously, if you're investing 6 figures a piece, you're going to make more dollars than the other. But we've had a lot of people that have just said, look, I don't look at stocks the same way again. And why would I? Why would I try to guess what the earnings number was going to be? Why would I try to guess who's going to sell the most widgets or the most cars? Why would I do that when the people who know that information will tip me off? Right? If the chief financial officer, the guy who runs the books, who reports the earnings, if he is putting $2 million in his own company stock for the first time in 4 years, out of nowhere, right before a big earnings report, it's like, that's what I'm going to trust. This guy or woman went home to their spouse, said, honey, I want to take $500,000, $1 million, $2 million out of our savings. I want to put it in my own company's risky stock right now. And what's your spouse going to say? Make your case. You better be damn sure. Right? So it's really just common sense. The thing is, people don't know you can track this stuff. So does Congress cheat and beat the market? Absolutely. Are most of them doing it? You bet they are. Is corporate America doing it too? Yes. I don't like it. But I promise you're going to be a lot less angry about this stuff when you're up 50 and 80 and 300% on some of these stocks, right alongside your favorite politician or corporate insider.
Oh my goodness.
So
okay, I want to bring it back to David Hogg for a minute, because I think one of the most shocking parts of that undercover video is he admits that he won't expose corruption because it would hurt gun control efforts. What do you think that says about Washington's priorities?
Well, at least on one side, I think they're asked backwards, right? I mean, the government was first and foremost supposed to be of the people, for the people. They are clearly not for the people. If anyone needs guns to defend himself, it's David Hogg with his 9-inch biceps. I mean, that guy should be strapped to the teeth. Um, it's sickening,
Yeah,
though.
I ran into David Hogg once
Did you?
in New York. Yeah, it was right after the MAGA rally in Madison Square Garden. He was actually staying at my hotel, and I saw him in the lobby. I walked up to him, and we had a conversation. I invited him on my show. He declined. It was a cordial conversation, but I got to see him. I got to size him up, right there. But yeah, you're right about the 9-inch biceps, man.
I mean, the Dems,
Yeah.
they were the least. I don't know. This is off topic, but it's like the least manly men. If your free testosterone's over 400, you're voting Republican. Like it's just they brought Waltz in there to, what did he say, to get the pickup truck crowd. This is the man who put tampons in men's bathrooms. No self-respecting man thinks Tim Walz is a statue of masculinity, right? And Hogg, as you said, was probably on a grinder date when he started talking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the tactics of Project Veritas is well known.
Yeah,
right. They use dating apps to lure these people in, then like honeypot operations, like clockwork. They're on this date and they run their mouth because they're trying to impress their dates. This guy, looks like he was at a lunch date or something, but I mean,
that's the only way they can get him to talk, right? Because as soon as they see a camera, it's all Pelosi's the greatest and we're upstanding and all this. They turned around like, I know they're insider trading. If you look at my Twitter feed, there's a graphic. I mean, last year I compared the top performing hedge funds. Yeah,
I wanted to talk too about that, and then with you mentioned the Army contract and Tesla, so I want to talk about that too a little bit more. Which one? Okay, we're going to this one here. Yes.
Yeah, if you pull that up.
Oh, let me pull that up. Hang on. Here we go.
So on the left side, that's the top performing hedge funds in America. Okay, now hedge funds, if you're not familiar, are the best of the best. And you can look at the strategies. I mean, they're running multi-strategy, macro, distressed dead assets. The one on the left is the hedge funds. And maybe scroll back a little bit, but show the percentages there, right? These are the best ones in the country last year. Teams of the best traders in the world. 30, 40, maybe 50, 60% at the top of this list, right? Yeah, the top one's 80%. Everyone else 50, 40. And those are phenomenal returns. Anybody kill for that kind of return. Compare that to what the top members of Congress did last year with the other chart. Scroll the other direction. You can see the Congress chart. Look at what some of these guys did.
Okay,
so David Rouser, Debbie Schultz,
yeah.
Wyden. Show the annual returns over there to the right. Look at the numbers these guys put up. This is in a year. 149%. 120.
That's their whole stock portfolio.
Yeah, in 1 year. And again, Warren Buffett has never had a 100% year. He's been doing it for 6 decades. It's the best it's ever lived. And you're telling me half a dozen Congress members just bested Buffett's best year? And is it not one or two of these guys? There's a mountain of them putting up 40, 50, 60, 70% return. It is statistically impossible.
I think we have a chart here that shows there's Warren Buffett. There it is.
There you go. That's what Buffett did last year. That's where he would rank among members of Congress. You're telling me there's 15 members of Congress that are better investors than Warren Buffett? Get at it.
Buffett represents the yellow line here.
Yeah, that's Buffett.
That's crazy.
And that's what Congress did. So it's, I mean, short of more recorded conversations, I mean, you need Pelosi to basically say, I do that. Yeah, I do. And she's too smart for that.
But she got no shame. She doesn't care. She thinks she's untouchable.
She is, though. I don't like it. Yeah. But Gary, she's been doing this for 20 years. Nothing's ever happened. Wouldn't she had a $200 million stockpile? I'd feel untouchable too.
Let's talk about the trades you mentioned before. Pelosi's recent trades: Microsoft before the Army contract, Tesla before Biden's EV mandate. Break down the timing there.
So what she does, and this is another way you can find a really big ones. If they really know something, they're not even just going to buy the stock, Gary. They'll buy stock options, and options are like a leveraged way. So, options are saying, all right, I'm going to bet $1 million. This stock's going to go up. It's got to go up at least this much. It has to do it in the next 3-6 months, and if it doesn't, I lose all the money. That's a very risky bet. You would only do that if you knew something. And so when she starts buying options, you know it's a good one. Microsoft, she did, the Army gave, let's see, a $22 billion contract to Microsoft for augmented reality glasses. She bought the stock 2 weeks earlier. With Tesla, before Biden signed the EV mandate, she put $1 million in Tesla stock options.
$1 million?
Yeah, in the options. They quadrupled. She bought NVIDIA.
So she made $4 million on that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is nothing. All the time. Look, 3 years ago, they passed the CHIPS Act. Okay, this gave $50 billion in subsidies to try to get semiconductor manufacturers to stay here. The biggest one, obviously, NVIDIA. They got billions.
God, it pisses me off, Ross. It pisses me off.
She really does. She did it with NVIDIA. She bought $5 million in NVIDIA call options.
So she's taking all this money. She's making from one stock. She's taking all, rolling it into another stock. Just boom, 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 boom.
Power of compounding. Yeah, and her edge just gets bigger and bigger, right? She only gets more and more influence. Name a single piece of legislation that can pass through Congress Pelosi doesn't have her eyeballs on. She knows everything before it comes through, right? So she uses it to her own advantage. I mean, you'd think she'd finally quit. She has $250 million. I don't know what, I don't know what she needs it for. She didn't have that much life left in her, but they're all doing this, and they've all learned from Pelosi. It's
well. I mean, Hogg says Pelosi beats almost every hedge fund. I mean, that is. I mean, clearly, like Hogg is watching what you're doing. I mean, Hogg says Pelosi beats almost every hedge fund, and this is coming from the DNC vice chair.
Yeah, she beat all but one last year.
What was that?
She beat all but one last year, and then there's 10 members of Congress that are better than her.
He says he's putting together congressional assets in a blind trust. That's what he said in the extended clip. Would that actually stop the corruption, or would it just hide it better?
I think it would hide it better. Yeah, that's his proposal, put it in a blind trust. It would probably stop a couple of them, right? If they can't just pull out their Robinhood account and, we're going to pass this bill. Hold on, let me buy this stock. It'd stop some of those guys, but a lot of them would just find more clever ways to do it. The fact is, it's going to be very difficult to pass legislation to ban these people from trading stocks when they're the ones that have to write and ban and pass legislation, right? If you had a honey hole that made you $3-4 million a year, would you, out of the goodness of your heart, just say, that's not right, I'm going to turn that off? Because at the end of the day, they're not hurting anybody, Gary. And I know that sounds like I'm defending them. I'm not. But to me, there's a difference between taking my tax dollars and shoveling them through an NGO and paying your wife's salary and sucking money out. If they're doing this when stocks go up, every other person who owns the stock makes money. If they're going to tip me off to it, I'll make some money as well. So, if you're trying to focus on issues that are actually hurting the American taxpayer, this, although is disgusting, it's not hurting us, right? And so a sick way of looking at it is, well, I'd rather them be cheating on the stock market than stealing my tax dollars, right? So I just don't think it's going to be priority one. There's so many other important things out there to get passed, and Trump's got a lot on his plate. Can you imagine burning the political capital it would require to ban this? I just don't see it happening.
Yeah. I mean, with all the action on Capitol Hill these days, it's like, is that the battle he wants to fight right now? I mean, I could only imagine the amount of pushback that he would get. I mean, even just trying to get this big, beautiful bill passed. I mean, all the opposition from, every Democrat saying you're going to die. If this bill passes, we're going to die. I mean, who knows what they would say? Oh, they're going to say, we're going to starve. Right?
Oh yeah.
You're going to starve us out of house and home if you pass this bill. My great grandchildren aren't going to have the estate, right?
Yeah. They come up with something or a reason it's not fair. They know what they do. They'd attach it to something else that hurts the everyday American.
Yeah,
and they go,
course.
you want to take away wheelchairs from disadvantaged kids? They'd put something stupid in there like that, so they can't vote yes on it. That's what would happen. Last time, just tried to get through. Pelosi called it for a vote at midnight. On like New Year's Eve or something crazy like that to make sure it never went. So it's not going to happen. They're going to keep doing it. The only silver lining is we can see what stocks they're buying. We can.
Yeah, I want to give you the final word here. We're up against the clock. Tell us everything we need to know so we can win.
Well, I encourage people to come to that event. Listen, it's online. Anybody can come. It's free. It's about an hour long. I'll show you everything we've done over the last decade, and we just kind of break it down. I'll show you the big loophole that allows you to follow these trades, see what politicians and corporate insiders are buying. We'll show you the free online database, how to find this stuff for yourself, what to look for, what to look out for, what the big winners have had in common. And our hope is that we'll empower people to do some of this on their own. Whether you got a couple $100 to invest, a couple thousand, a couple million, like this is a giant gaping loophole that has a huge upside for the everyday investor. And there's not many of those out there. So click the link below. We'll send you all the information. We're even going to send you all the research on our most recent picks. So even if you can't come, click that. We'll email you the full report, who's buying, what we see, all the upside.
Really?
And you can judge for yourself. So I hope we have a big turnout. We usually have several thousand people on there.
Oh my goodness.
And it's extremely eye-opening for most attendees.
Wow.
So always good to talk to you, but thank you for having me on, Gary. Appreciate all the work.
Yeah, no,
you're doing.
thank you for bringing that clip of David Hogg to my attention, because it kind of blew my mind. But hey, that's Project Veritas at their best. So
Yeah.
I just can't wait for part 3. So we'll have to wait and see what that's going to be about. All right, Ross, thanks for joining us.
Of course.
All right, what we have just witnessed is a confession that should end political careers and trigger investigations. David Hogg, the same activist who wants to disarm law-abiding Americans, just admitted he'll cover up congressional corruption to advance his gun control agenda. When the DNC vice chair openly admits that Nancy Pelosi achieves impossible returns through insider trading but won't speak out because it would hurt his anti-Second Amendment crusade, we see the true face of the radical left. Okay, they will protect financial criminals if it helps them strip away your constitutional rights. Now, Ross Givens, he has shown us that this corruption is not hidden. It is documented in every suspiciously timed trade. The gun-grabbing establishment, they protect their own while targeting your freedoms and your wallet. So here's what I want you to do. Be one of those thousands of people who are joining Ross at networkofinsiders.com. It is linked in the description. You're going to get a report. You're going to be able to have access to this information, and you're going to learn how to legally track these corrupt trades. If they won't stop the corruption, at least you can protect yourself from being its victim.